Hello, I'm Vicky Nisbet, Area Vice President of Comms and Media at Salesforce UK. Today, I'm absolutely delighted to introduce Lindsay Rodgers, Head of Digital at KCOM. Lindsay is responsible for not only the IT delivery and service, but also driving the digital transformation across KCOM to improve the experience for both customers and employees. So, Lindsay, welcome. It's lovely to see you again.
Thank you. It's really good to see you too, Vicky.
Excellent. I think we'll dive straight in, Lindsay, if that's okay. Get
Yeah,
into
that's
the
fine.
conversation. So the pandemic has been an incredible thing, hasn't it? It's had a massive impact on the industry. And the need to accelerate digitization has gone through the roof. But I think also the interesting area is to improve revenue streams and look at better ways to interact with our customers. What's your view on automating unassisted selling channels, and what do you think the impact will be on the customer experience?
Yeah, so it was something that we were already on with really, luckily, before the pandemic. So we started our digital transformation a couple of years ago. It was actually 2 years ago in September. Um, and we had two goals really. One was to improve customer experience, digital customer experience, and the other one was automation. So how do we kind of automate those end-to-end journeys? And the driver for us really around the automation was improved customer experience, but also scalability. So in terms of our revenue streams, we serve quite a diverse range of customers. So through our retail channel, we serve B2C customers and B2B customers, some kind of large scale enterprise customers as well. And then also through our wholesale channel, we've got huge ambitions to kind of grow that area of the business. So the B2B2X side of things comes into play as well. So when we're thinking about automation, it really is across the whole customer base. In terms of that automation, um, what's been really important to us is to how do we personalize that when we've got such a diverse range of customers as well. And I think data has been really key to us in that. So how do we use data wisely in order to personalize? So when we're dealing with our B2C customers, making sure that we're recognizing where they're located, where the property is, what connectivity options they've got, what product offerings are available in their area. So it really makes it feel like it's a personalised journey, and they're not choosing something to then be told actually you can't have that later on down the line. So making sure we get things right first time for that each individual customer.
Yeah, it's
And then
interesting.
in terms,
Oh, sorry.
sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, no, and then I guess from another aspect as well, just in terms of that data, I think that really helps our employees as well. So thinking about how we make that data visible, so automating the end-to-end process, making sure that they've got visibility of that order orchestration right the way through as well from a customer service perspective. So if a customer does need to get in touch with us, then our employees have got visibility of where that order is, and they can have a really personal conversation with that customer. They're not having to do a lot of fact finding, so it's really helping that 360 view of the customer as well.
Excellent. And I'm guessing your NPS scores must be seeing a positive impact from that as well.
Yeah, definitely. We've launched mainly in our expansion area, so we're expanding quite rapidly at KCOM in terms of our fiber network, and that was one of the reasons why um, the automation was so important to us, especially with scalability. So we wanted to be able to scale without increasing operational costs
Right.
as well. So we've that our expansion plans were a real catalyst for us to move forward with our digital transformation before even the pandemic kind of came about. So that's why we were already on the journey, was because we absolutely needed to do this.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because you've been using the data and you can identify who you're dealing with. It auto almost means that you can automate those processes that don't need people and keep the cost in the areas where people really matter, like where people have problems and they want to get on the phone and have you help them.
Yeah.
You've got the service in the right place, haven't you?
Yeah, exactly, and that's really important for our employees as well. So they're not kind of dealing with kind of hand holding orders through that they shouldn't need to. They can really focus on those value add aspects for the customer as well. So and that improves their employee satisfaction as well as customer satisfaction.
Excellent. And you've got such a strong local identity, haven't you? Which has kind of led to a deep connection with your customers. Um, can you tell us a little bit more about your digital transformation and how being able to understand your customer has enabled you to improve those digital experiences?
Yeah, so we're quite unique really in the fact that we are we've kind of grown up in within the local community, so we've owned our own network in Hull for a long time. Our roots go back to 1904, so we're a very established customer within our original licensed area, and that community feel is so important to us. We get involved in a lot of community events, and we've really wanted to keep that message strong as we expand outside the area as well. We've actually got a really good example of this. So yesterday, a number of our KCOM employees took part in a charity cycle ride and walk for two local charities in the Lincolnshire area. So it's an area that we're expanding into. But again, it kind of really demonstrates how we're wanting to get involved in the community. So really understanding our customer base in each of the areas that we're going to is so important to us, and kind of bringing that back into the digital transformation. How do we make sure that we've got those customers in mind? And so from a technology perspective and ways of working perspective, we're using techniques like design thinking, creating personas of our customers in each of these areas, making sure that we're designing for diversity. So really understanding the people that are within the areas that we're looking to establish ourselves in, as well as our original customer base in the whole area as well. So those connections with our customers are so important to us, and with the growth of the wholesale business as well, really understanding what our wholesale customers need from us as well.
It's interesting, isn't it? It's because of kind of what made you successful in the Hull area. You're taking that local feel and expanding it on a more regional basis, which shows that that's what people want, isn't it? They still want the personal touch. They want the relationship with you, even if it
Yeah,
is digitized. Is fine. I just wish I'd
yeah.
known about the cycle ride. I would have joined you for sure.
It was really good fun.
I bet it was. I bet it was. So from a future perspective, that really is you're definitely leading the way there, particularly with fibre. But I'm sure that where you've come from has meant that it's been a tricky journey. I'm imagining that you've had a sort of a mishmash of legacy systems. How have you dealt with that on your journey?
Yeah. It's been really challenging actually, and I think I talked about the impetus for the digital transformation in the first place was because we were expanding, and that was because we knew we couldn't scale with our legacy systems at all. I'm sure you can imagine.
Yeah.
A lot of traditional telcos have got this problem. We're not unique in that, but going back so long with our history and a history of acquisitions as well along the way, we've created multiple system stacks, lots of bespoke systems, lots of point-to-point integrations. Very very difficult to kind of pull that apart, and we really wanted to not replace that architecture like for like, because it wasn't a standard architecture. It was just kind of it just kind of evolved over time. So moving to something a lot more standard and structured, which we were heavily informed by TM Forum, in that moving to that to be architecture, that was so important to us, and we can't, because we're not replacing the systems like for like. We've had to kind of deal with running legacy alongside the new simplified system stack. So we're looking to implement a number of strategic systems, a much more simplified estate. But like I said, building in that automation along the way, and Salesforce has been a big part of that, with especially with the Salesforce Industries element as well. That's really helped us along the way to kind of drive that end-to-end automation in the fulfillment space. But we still need kind of integrations as well, because you're only going to get that end-to-end automation with those integrations. So we kind of again use kind of TM Forum open APIs to make sure we're staying standard with those integrations down to the network, so that we've got that end-to-end automation in there.
No, it's interesting, isn't it? Because I think you took a very pragmatic approach and you didn't think, oh, well, I have to switch everything off the day I go live. And I think if you can embrace it, that it's a journey, and going cloud native lets you iterate, that you can take the new alongside the old and then gradually switch off the old, so that it's not so dramatic, is it, as a big change on day one?
Yeah, yeah, and this is where we've kind of found that integration layer really really important to us. So we're kind of building those integrations into our legacy systems, and it's never as straightforward as this, but it makes it easier to kind of replace those legacy systems as we move forward with the rest of the transformation. And we're trying as much as possible to stay kind of best practice in terms of processes and out of the box capability. And with cloud solutions, definitely we can do that, because they're developing so quickly. We can, we'll just adopt the best practice, but then leaving ourselves enough room to be able to differentiate in the areas that really do add value. So more around the customer experience side of things.
Absolutely. I think if you take best practice, it leaves you time and freedom to be competitive, doesn't it? And enable
Yeah.
yourself to differentiate. And what about measuring success? Have you how have you found that?
Yeah, it's really difficult actually because of where we came from. So a lot of our legacy systems, reporting from our legacy systems was very difficult. So it was very difficult to kind of benchmark our starting point because we had, you know, we were just really happy to be able to count the number of orders we had initially because we just couldn't do things like that in our legacy systems. You know, we're coming from a system stack that had subscribers instead of customers and tariffs instead of products. So it's night and day from where we were then. But what we have seen since we've moved to kind of the new stack is just things like more customers using our digital channels. We've seen time to market on our product launches. We're talking about a number of days now rather than months. Kind of building things into our legacy systems, and also we're starting to. And this is one of the things that's really interesting me at the minute is how do we broaden that digital culture within the organisation. So it's not just digital, isn't just an IT thing
Yeah.
anymore. Doesn't require not everything requires kind of IT development resources to be able to configure the new strategic system stack that we're using, and that's really important to us because otherwise IT just becomes a bottleneck.
Yeah.
So really, making sure that our end users have got the capability, the digital capability to be able to configure systems such as Salesforce is really important to us.
No, that's really true, isn't it? Because I think business users are more like consumers now, and consumers are very IT savvy. So we need to give them
Yeah,
the tools so they can actually look after themselves, don't we? Rather than having to come to us for
yeah,
help all the time.
yeah, definitely. And I think that was one of the major problems that we were seeing really is because we were, the IT function was becoming a real bottleneck because everything from business process changes to product launches had to come through us because it required coding changes in our legacy systems. So being able to give that ability back to the business departments is really valuable to us.
Excellent, excellent. And finally, Lindsay, I know that KCOM are like us, like Salesforce, a very active member of TM Forum. Is there any recent activity you'd like to highlight?
Yeah, a couple of things really. I think so. I think the kind of geeky, techie side of me will probably say that the advancements around the architecture. So I come from an architecture background, so uh, the moving from the TAM model to the ODA is really interesting, and also one of the things we're looking at is around the end-to-end journeys, end-to-end customer journeys, and how they map onto the ODA. And business capabilities is something that we're looking at as well. So being able to express our technology in terms of how it enables those business capabilities. So the value that is coming out of the technology, rather than technology be seen as a must-have or a cost.
Yeah.
It's really an enabler. So that's kind of the technical side of it. And I think for me, one area that I'm really becoming more and more interested in is like I said, the digital culture side of things. So the TM Forum theme around the human touch is really interesting to me because you can have really great technology, but it's people at the end of the day, and it's how people react to using that technology from a customer and an employee perspective that is going to be the differentiator, I think, in a successful digital transformation. So I'm really interested. Firstly, I think it's brilliant that we're kind of bringing together the human side with the technology side, and I'm really interested in that aspect and something that I do want to get more and more involved in. I think it's essential as we kind of roll out the transformation.
I couldn't agree with you more. Honestly, it's so good to see that actually bringing the people, processes, technology together to achieve transformation is now totally accepted and being promoted as the way to go and the way to move forward. So hopefully we'll be back together at some time in the future, Lindsay, so I can hear a lot more about how you've achieved that transformation with these things. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been fabulous. And I hope to see you again soon.
Yeah, you too, Vicky. Really good to talk to you as always.
Take care.
Thank you.